Hey, good morning. BJ and Joe Ondo out and about on the Recumbents, and we just came off the Shooks Run bike path, and now we're picking up the Weber Street bike lane. We're going to a basically it's a gathering for roadside accident victims. It's a national situation, but this is the Colorado Springs, Colorado version of it. That's like National Roadside Accident Victims. I don't know what you call it. It's not like, a vigilance or anything like that. It's just basically a ceremony to remember all the accident victims, whether it be bicycle or car or whatever. And so we found out about it a couple days ago, so we thought we'd check it out this morning. It's Sunday. I don't even remember what day it is. I'm not sure. I know it's Sunday. I don't know what the date is. That's what I meant. But yeah, like I said, we're riding down the Weber Street bike lane here because we're heading for City Hall in downtown Colorado Springs, and but it's over on Nevada Avenue. So we're kind of going in the back way. Morning. So we can take the kind of jump on the sidewalk and get over to City Hall. At least I hope that's where City Hall is. I haven't been to City Hall in a long time. If I remember right, that's where the City Hall is, because the other one is the Justice Center. That's over off of Cascade. But yeah, this is one of the main bike lanes that goes north-south from our area up in the historic Old North End to downtown. They have this one, and then they have one on Cascade Street, but we preferred this one. Joe, you got pedestrians. Gotta let the pedestrians and the dog walkers through here. They have the right of way. Yeah, and my wife just left me in the dust as usual. She's always doing that. She's always leaving me in the dust here. So that's gonna be another very nice day. It's supposed to be like, mid to high 60s. Joe, you got a dog walker. Lots of people out walking their dogs this morning. Being a Sunday, downtown traffic shouldn't be a problem. A lot of cars here because these are old houses that they've turned into apartment buildings for Colorado college students, which is just down Uena Street here a few blocks. But yeah, most of these old housings around here are apartments. So yeah, we're like I said, we're going to this. I don't know what you call it. I mean, it's just a gathering. For roadside accident victims. But like I said, it's a national thing. So I take it they'll have other gatherings in different places across the United States. It's not the official bicycle one. That one's usually later in the year. Can't think of what they call that, but that one's particularly for bicyclists that have been in collisions with cars and have passed away. This is for accident victims, from every genre, I guess you could say. All right. Yeah. The only bad thing about the bike lanes is, of course, they're on city streets, so there's a lot of stoplights heading towards downtown. Don't know how long this is going to be. I know they're supposed to have a speaker or something, and I don't know. But after that, we'll probably just ride out somewhere so we can find some place to get some iced tea and eat our brown bag lunch. Well, if you got a chance, I hope you saw our latest video. It's we did find the new section of the Creek Walk Trail. Although, like I said, it was a little disappointing because it didn't go as far as I thought it would. And there's one part before you get to Memorial Park, which is about a long city block away from the Manitou Springs Visitor Center. But that's just a regular sidewalk, so it's not a good place for a trike. And we just hit another light here. Like I said, lots of lights, so you'll have to you just have to talk to me, poor people. And but yeah, no, we didn't have anything big planned today, except for this. We kind of wanted to see what was going on with this. And if it starts getting weird, we'll just leave because we're not into protests. So if this turns out to be a protest, well, we'll just leave automatically. But I don't think so. It's supposed to be like a service or a gathering. It's supposed to be remembering. They call it accident victims, but truly, it's never an accident, okay? If you hit somebody, it's not an accident. You hit them. It's a crash. Whatever the circumstances, it's still a crash. And that's something that they should change the nomenclature of, because I think it would get a lot more because let's face it, if a car runs you over on your bicycle, or your tricycle, they're automatically going to say, well, we didn't see them. And that seems to be a good enough excuse for most of law enforcement and the judicial system in the United States to basically slap them on the hand. If they're lucky, they'll get a fine. If you're lucky, they'll get a fine. Rarely ever do they ever spend any jail time, because it was an accident. I didn't see them. Yeah, okay. Means you weren't looking and you weren't being careful. You know, the problem of it is that when I got my driver's license back a long time ago, in the early 70s, we were told that, you know, if you're driving an automobile, you're responsible for your surroundings, and you're responsible for other types of traffic, you know, bicycles, pedestrians, people in wheelchairs, you know. You're responsible, but that's not how it works out in the courts. It's like they automatically blame you because you were on a tricycle. If you were a good American adult, you'd be in a car. What's wrong with you? You know, I mean, that's just the way they act, which is really sad. Yeah, we got our own little bike lane here because of the construction. This is Palmer High School on the other side of the tennis courts there. This is the original high school in town. It was originally known as Colorado Springs High School because it was the only one. So it's been here since the early 1900s. But they've added to it over the years, but they're really adding to it now. They're adding like an entire wing. And it might actually cross over a city street. So you won't be able to, you know, like use that part of the city street anymore. But with the, you know, with the massive growth of new apartment buildings in downtown Colorado Springs, I'm sure they had to come up with a little more, you know, a little more space in Palmer High School, because that would be the school that would. I mean, I don't know how many people, you know, really have high school age kids that would be living in a downtown apartment or condominium, but there's probably at least a few. Because some of the there's a nice old Porsche, old 911 of some sort, I think. But yeah, you know, I mean, some of the apartments or the condominiums downtown are, you know, 3 bedrooms, so you know, there's room for somebody to have a teenage. Watch out for this car, dear. Teenage kid. Thank you. And yeah, I normally don't, you know, record going downtown, but, you know, on the bike lane, but I figured since we were actually going somewhere. Okay. Howdy. Some happy people. Okay. Okay, dear, this is where we're going to turn and get on the sidewalk. We're going to turn to your right. Go by the police building here. Hopefully they won't jump all over us, but it's a one-way road, so. Okay, yeah, this is where we want to turn. Make sure there's no pedestrians. This is the old city auditorium here. Yeah. I do believe we go to the other corner, and that's City Hall. This is Municipal Court here. And that's a new Hyatt place. I guess it's a hotel. Hyatt's not usually a condominium. Yeah, this should be City Hall. So I take it they'll be out front somewhere. We're a bit early. Get you. But yeah, it looks like they're yeah, setting up over here. Yeah, it looks like they're setting up. Hey, Joe, what we're going to go over do is just back in right here. Don't want to get in their doors. Okay, come on back. All right, so I think this is the place. So we're just going to kind of settle in here and all right. Howdy. So for BJ and Joe Ondo out and about on the Recumbents.
Folks here early for the World Remembrance?
Yes.
Great.
We thought we'd try to. I was trying to remember exactly. It's been a while since I've been to City Hall, so I had to. Okay, which building is City Hall's?
I was hoping I'd get here early enough to be able to park close because I've got all this equipment.
Oh, no, huh?
Church,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the church. All right. We will get back to you. Bye.
And enjoying their communities. We have to be safer, we have to drive safer, but we also have to have alternatives for seniors, alternatives for kids, alternatives for people that are not competent to drive, alternatives for people that don't want to drive. And so we advocate for people-centered planning, which is walkability, bikeability, transit, and affordable housing, all working hand in hand in how we plan to make it easier for people to safely get around their city and enjoy their community. So thank you everybody for coming. I have to say a huge thank you to Joan Stain for organizing the placards, for Savannah from Union Printer Home Community Benefits Coalition, Dave Gardner from Loving the Springs for the sound and asking for the sound. For the first time in 3 years, we have good sound. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody reading. Thank you to Haley for showing up and volunteering and making sure we were prepped and jumping on everything. I'm grateful for everybody that volunteers and comes together and works hard on all these things. I think it's easy to sometimes jump past the people who pass away in crashes because we assume that that's normal, that people dying in crashes is a normal cost of doing business, and it isn't.
You're fine, ma'am.
We need to advocate for Vision Zero. We need to advocate for school zones and traffic calming in front of every school, including all high schools and all middle schools, which is not current policy, although they have been adding additional signs. We can't widen Platte. We need traffic calming where McKinley Lee was killed. There's a lot of work to do. We'd also love to see the the 3-line free. But thank you everybody for showing up, and we're going to read the names of everyone lost, their ages, and where they were lost due to crashes, due to road violence. And we're also then going to have an open forum for people that have been affected by crashes, as well as elected officials who have kindly shown up and are supporting us. Also, by the way, I am a candidate for Congressional District 5. You can learn more about me if you'd like to. So come up to me and I'll give you some information. We're also going to have a moment of silence after we read all the names. So thank you so much. Haley, I'll come down and we'll exchange. We're starting with October of last year, right around the time we had this remembrance. So we're going October of 2024 to October of 2025. Michael J. Los, 25 years old, October 26, 2024. He passed at I-25 South, exit 139 southbound. Michaela Davina Henderson, 25 years old, on November 2nd, 2024. She passed at 1800 South Academy Boulevard. Spencer Allen Corman, 54 years old, on November 3rd, 2024, passed at 500 East Garden of the Gods Road. Cody Zimmerman was 29 years old when he passed on November 3rd, 2024, on 1900 South Monterey Road. Christy May Kirst, 47 years old, November 4th, 2024, she passed from a car crash on Baptist Road in Monument, Colorado. James Calvin Spencer, 81 years old, November 27th, 2024, passed at I-25, milepost 160, between Baptist Road and Colorado 105. So sometimes we learn about crashes, but we don't know who passed in that crash. So we're going to say unknown man passed, who's 34 years old, on November 30th, 2024, I-25 near Baptist Road. Amelia Lynn Larson was 18 years old when she passed on December 18th, 2024, Mesa Ridge Parkway in Fountain, Colorado. Dominic Gallifin, 19 years old, on December 24th, 2024, he passed at Cheyenne Meadows Road and Venatucci Boulevard. Michael Pompa, 55 years old, on December 29th, 2024, he passed at 4500 Edison Avenue off East Platte Ave and North Murray Boulevard. Sydney June Howells, 21 years old, January 2nd, 2025, West Baptist Road and Leather Chaps Drive in Monument, Colorado is where she passed. Charlene McAllister, 76 years old, January 8th, 2025, Peterson Road and Constitution Ave is where that crash happened. Nevis Socras Diaz, 26 years old, on January 20th, there was a fatal crash on Main Street crossing located at Highway 85 and Main Street interchange in Security Widefield. I'm going to pass it on to Brendan.
Ross Herman, 33 years old, passed February 10th, 2025 at 21st Street and Eventually in Colorado City. Roy John, 41 years old, February 16th, 2025 at US Highway 36 and I-25 near Fountain Fort Carson. Charles Verdemain, February 27th, 2025 at Bob Johnson Drive and Willwood Road near Broadmoor Arena. Unknown, February 28th, 2025, Northbound Academy near Carefree. Anne-Marie Langlois, 75 years old, March 3rd, 2025, Chapel Hills and Dynamic Drive near John Venezia Park in Briargate area. Patrick McCarthy, 28 years old, March 11th, 2025, at the 600 block of South Circle Drive. Shane Michael Golden, 31 years old, March 12th, 2025, North Academy Boulevard and Rebecca Lane. Brian Jacob Zamora, 25 years old, April 1st, 2025, Rangewood Drive and Dublin Boulevard. Salvador Chava Diaz, 21 years old, April 11th, 2025, at I-25 in northbound Garden of the Gods. John Leslie Elrod, 66 years old, April 16th, 2025, East Cheyenne Road in Southgate. Chelsea Willing, 20 years old, April 17th, 2025, at Platte Avenue and North Prospect Street. Ethan Hale, 30 years old, May 1st, 2025, West Bijou Street Bridge over I-25. Peter Blinn, 60 years old, May 11th, 2025, East Mill Street and South Nevada Avenue. Colleen and Anidia Baldwin, 32 and 60 years old, May 11th, Elbert Road and Murphy Place north of Clayton.
Fred Brockway Jr., 70 years old, May 11, 2025, at South Boulevard near East Mountain Boulevard. Kalen Thomas Lowell, 36 years old, May 12th, 1015 Florence Avenue, west of I-25 in southern Colorado Springs. Brent Michael Nicholas, 49 years old, May 14th at Boulder and South Academy Boulevard. Gary Bissell, 69 years old, May 15th, 1400 Austin Bluffs Parkway. An unnamed minor, 13 years old, May 16th at I-25 near South Academy Boulevard. Elvin Jose Desiree Iglesia, 28 years old, May 16th at Hancock Expressway and Circle Drive. Dylan Davis, 18 years old, May 31st, Peterson Road and Hawkwind Boulevard. Thomas Vincent Kinney, 44 years old, May 31st at North Stone Avenue and Nicholas Boulevard. Nicholas M. Navarino, 38 years old, June 10th at North Powers and Interquest Parkway. Drake Grammer, 16 years old, June 15th at Union Boulevard and Dublin Boulevard. Albert Botello Castanon V, 18 years old, June 20th on the 2400 block of Beach Street. Charles D. Carlton, 61 years old, June 21st at Constitution Avenue and Alpine Drive. An unnamed minor, June 29th on Highway 115 between County Road F45 and Barrett Road at milepost 29. Lana Arbogast, 74 years old, June 29th at North Union Boulevard and Research Parkway.
Abra Munoz, 42, and Christopher Dumas, 35, June 29th at the 4600 block of Austin Bluffs Parkway and Barnes. Fernando Gallardo Franco, 20, Jorge Avier Cruz, 19, July 5th at South Circle Drive and Hancock Expressway.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Teenager, no name given, July 12th, 2025 at North Peyton Highway and Pinion Park Road. Ryan Jaramillo Pantoja, 18, Janet Mariana Pino Lopez, 20, Gabriel Williams Zelaya, 19, and minor girl, 17 years old, July 13th, 2025, at the intersection of South Powers Boulevard and East Mountain Boulevard. Johnny Givens, 27, July 19th, 2025, at 4100 Drennan Road. Christopher James Easton, 28, July 29th, Constitution Avenue and Sierra Drive. Spencer Aiden Limpool, 20 years old, August 9th, North Union Boulevard and Garnish Road. And 3 days later, Randy DeBono, 41 years old, August 12th, North Union Boulevard and Garnish Road. Jasenia Nicole Gayton, 22, August 24th, 2025, 2300 East Platte Avenue. Dylan Hart, 28 years old, August 31st, 2025, West Colorado Avenue and 32nd Street. Samuel Alexander Marsh, 32 years old, September 2nd, 2025, Rampart Range Road. An unnamed person, September 2nd, 2025, at Airport Road and Ruskin Drive.
Jeremy Daniel Ives, 28 years old, September 5th, 2025, Highway 24th and South 26th Street. Anthony Duchek, 31 years old, September 10th, 2025, Highway 24, MLK Bypass, I-25. Hung Fan, 27 years old, September 18th, 2025, 800 Centennial Boulevard. Dr. Charles Douglas Lane Sr., 79 years old, September 18th, 2025, Garden of the Gods Park. Jonathan Stover, 18 years old, September 29th, 2025, MLK Bypass and Circle Drive. Megumi Morris, 26 years old, October 2nd, 2025, 4000 block of Wasteland Road. Issei Martinez Limones, 19 years old, October 10th, 2025, Uinta Street and 22nd Street. And then there's two unknowns. October 18th, 2025, East Fountain Boulevard and Academy Park Loop. And October 26th, 2025, Dublin Boulevard and Cloud Dancer Drive. Thank you everybody for coming here, for listening. Let's take a moment of silence. And now we'll have a moment for people who would like to speak to come up and speak.
Hey, well, we're back. All right, Jojo. Well, it will be as soon as I unleash my parking brake. All right. So, yeah, we rode up the Greenway, and then basically picked up Rock Island, and took Rock Island up to Academy Boulevard. Now we're on the Academy Boulevard bike path, we'll call it. It's not really a trail per se as a bike path, because it only goes as far as Palmer Park, up a few blocks north of here. And howdy. And yeah, so we went to the Remembrance for crash victims, and sadly it didn't get a real good turnout, but was very impressed about how many people rode up to it on bicycles. We were the only trikes there, but still, that's pretty good. I think, you know, bicyclists and trike riders kind of understand how dangerous it is to you know, be part of an automotive world, especially in the United States of America, because here, let's face it, car drivers, you know, unless they've got somebody that rides a bike or they ride a bike, you know, they don't care. I mean, they just flat don't care. You have a handful that are really good, but for every one, there must be 10 that are just absolutely crazy, and they just want you off of their road, as they call it. And but, you know, we get messed over because, you know, hey, there's only so much money, and now they're taking away the money, the little bit of money that they were putting towards trails, you know, from the federal government to help out the state governments, you know, to build more trails for, you know, walkability and bike riding, and you know, people in wheelchairs and electric wheelchairs, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know. But nah, the current administration doesn't care much at all about, you know, people other than, you know, wealthy people who have plenty of cars, you know. So that's where the money's going now. But enough of that silly stuff. Just want to say, hey, thanks for coming along. We really do appreciate it. And I do apologize if the ceremony's a bit long, but it was worth recording and reminding, you know, that it's dangerous out there. So we all got to look out for each other. Howdy. And yeah, so please, you know, we'd appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, and share. Oh, please share our video with anybody you think might have an interest. Even if they don't bike or are thinking about it, or, you know, maybe you got somebody that's on the edge about getting a recumbent, you know, show them how much fun it is, because it's a blast, let's face it, especially on a trike. The bikes are fun too. I mean, I had a recumbent bike for several years, enjoyed it. Howdy. And but now the trikes are even more fun, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, I got some pretty big bumps, you know, from sidewalk to road to sidewalk transitions. But okay, well, we're heading up here to the Maverick convenience store so we can get us an iced tea and have our think bar. So I just want to say again, thanks for coming along, and we do so appreciate our subscribers. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We know we don't have the cool killer content like you know, Jai Matt and Sylvia Hepburn from the Turtle, you know, Myrtle the Turtle fame, and, you know, a lot of other, you know, trike people out there that can go all over the United States. Joe and I don't have that kind of money, so we can't. But we still love riding our trikes as much as possible. And our trikes are our only transportation. It's either this, the bus, or it's the feet. And the feet are getting old at 70, let me tell you. They don't like long walks anymore. Go ahead, sir. Gonna let this gentleman back out here so he doesn't worry about running us over. But yeah, like I said, we do so appreciate you hanging around with us. We do try to show some different stuff here. Yeah, here's probably our favorite little Maverick convenience store right here. All right. Joe's going to cruise up here so I can get my trike in here a little bit. Getting a little closer. And back up a little bit. I got to make sure nobody's coming. I didn't do a very good arc when I went in. Okay, here we go. Whee! All right. So, from Joe, who delicately, like a ballerina, gets off her trike. And BJ, who's probably going to get Jap slapped very soon. Just want to say, hey, till we come together next time, my fine folks, well, you know what? Happy trails. Bye till we see you next time.